If you feel behind in your AI governance job search, I want to make this simpler than it probably feels right now. You don't need to panic. You don't need to sound more impressive than everyone else in the room. You need three things: a clearer target, a better way to talk about what you've already done, and a simple structure for answering AI governance questions in interviews. I learned the last one at the worst possible moment. A while back, I sat on a panel with six other people, all of them accomplished with titles and stories that I respected. And I was at the very end. I was the last person who would be asked to speak. And as each of them answered the questions that were being asked, I kept thinking the same thing. What am I going to say that these six people haven't already said? I wasn't really listening to what they were saying. I was just preparing. And the more I stayed in my head, the more the nerves built up. Then I remembered something someone had told me a while back. Stop preparing your answer and listen. So I did. And something shifted in me right there. When the questions finally came to me, I found that I wasn't scrambling. I spoke calmly from my own experience. Now I think about that moment a lot because it's exactly what I see people doing in this search, looking around at everyone else and wondering what they could possibly add. But the move isn't to out impress the room, it's to get clear, to listen well, and to answer from your own real experience. And that structure is what I would use for almost any AI governance question. I'll give it to you by name a bit later. I call it the SRM: system knowledge, risk assessment, and management. Get that one thing right, and you're already sounding more grounded than most people in the room. Hi, everyone. I am Obi, and I help professionals move into AI governance careers. If you're on the job market right now, this one is especially for you. So, before I talk about the three stages, I want to give you a different way to think about that feeling of being behind. Feeling behind doesn't always mean you're unqualified. A lot of the time, it just means you're overloaded. Too many job listings, too many certifications, too many people online, sounding like they've got it all figured out. And when that happens, your confidence drops. And this is not because you have nothing to offer. It's because your attention is scattered in 20 different directions. You're not alone in feeling shaky about this. So if your confidence is low, that's not a signal about you. That's the water that most people are swimming in right now. So the goal of this video isn't to make you feel confident first. It's to give you a process that builds confidence through repetition. So the three stages, one move for each stage. And for each one, I will give you just one thing to do because I know piling on 10 tactics would do to you exactly what those six panelists almost did to me. It will overwhelm you into not even acting at all. And stick around to the end where I talk about why the discomfort that you might be feeling is actually the practice for the job. So let's start with stage one, finding the roles. And this is where a lot of people get stuck. They start to widen. They open up 20 tabs, scrolling through hundreds of listings. And the more they see, the more the whole thing starts to feel infinite and out of reach. So the one thing I'll do here is the opposite. Narrow down instead of widening. Pick 10 to 15 roles that actually fit where you're headed. And instead of skimming 100, read those 10, 15 roles closely and carefully. Watch what happens when you do this. You start to notice the same things. You notice a pattern. You notice the same words coming back. The NIST AI Risk Management Framework, the EU AI Act, ISO 42001. You'll notice stakeholder communication, risk assessment. Those are the things that you will keep seeing in many of these job roles. When you start to notice these things, the field stops being this vast, unknowable thing. It starts being a short list of things that keep repeating. And notice what these roles are actually asking for. Across a lot of these postings, the core ask is someone who can understand an AI system, explain it in plain language, someone comfortable translating between technical people and the business. Now, this is worth you just sitting down for a minute and thinking about it, because you might be telling yourself you need to be a machine learning engineer or you need to be this technical person to belong, and you don't. If you can assess risk and you can translate technical things into business language, you already have transferable skills that this market is hiring for. The target stops moving, and that's where the confidence starts. Not with a feeling, but with knowing exactly what you're aiming at. Stage two is applying and getting through that first screening. So, first, what do I actually mean by that first screen? It's usually a recruiter or an AI system doing a quick check. Are you roughly a fit? Do you understand the work? Is there even a reason to continue to talk to you? Now, remember, this is not a verdict on your worth as a person. It's usually a signal check. That reframe matters because this is where a lot of people quietly just give up. They send applications into silence and decide that the silence means something about them, but it doesn't. The recruiters will tell you straight off rejection and silence are just part of this process. And a few no's do not define your career. So, the one thing I would do at this stage is this: take one real thing that you've actually done and translate it into a proof story. Remember, it's not about a list of duties, but an outcome. What was the situation? What did you do? And what changed because you did it? Think about the difference. I worked with multiple stakeholders. This tells a recruiter almost nothing. But naming the actual situation, what was unclear, what you did about it, and what changed because you stepped in. Now, when you talk about it in this way, it starts to sound like governance work. And notice, this is not me inventing a tactic. It's what people have been saying. It's what recruiters are saying that they're looking for: results and outcomes, and not a recitation of responsibilities. Remember, they already have your resume in front of them and they've already seen those responsibilities. Now they want you to talk about what you know and how you did what you did. They're looking for you giving them the confidence to move you to the next level. If you cannot show them that you have done this work, they will not feel the confidence to move you to that next level. Remember, at the end of the day, recruiters also have their own reputations to protect. If they feel like you're going to go to that next stage and embarrass them, they will move you to that next stage. So give them what they want. Show them that you've done that work and you're likely to be moved to the next stage. The good part is this, that you're not making anything up. You already did the thing. You're just learning to say it in the language of the role. Now, if you've watched my video on certifications, this connects directly. The point there was that demonstrated capability beats credentials. Sample work, public writing, a risk conversation that you helped shape, a process that you improved, even training that you delivered. Those are experiences and those are the proof materials that you present. You don't need a new life. You need to translate the one that you already. Stage three is a real interview, the one where someone gives you a scenario and watches how you think. This is where people feel the most pressure. And it's exactly where SRM comes in. The structure that I promised you at the very start. S is for system knowledge. Before you say anything about a risk, slow down and understand the system first. What does it do? What data does it use? Who interacts with this system? And who is affected by it? You can also try to find out what kind of decisions that it makes. Now, remember, I've always said this, you can't govern what you don't understand. R is for risk assessment. Given that system that you now know, what could go wrong? Is it privacy? Is it bias? Is it a lack of transparency or weak oversight? It might also be a misuse of the system or a regulatory exposure. Might even be a harm to the people that it touches. So understand what that risk is or the risks are. M is for management. How would those risks be handled? who owns the issue, and what controls should exist, what oversight and documentations matter, and how does it get monitored over time. So it's systems knowledge, it is risk assessment, and it is management. So that's your SRM. This is a part I want you to really hear. The first letter, system knowledge, is about you listening. It's the exact move from the panel. Getting curious, asking questions, understanding before you respond. So when you open an interview by asking about the system instead of rushing to impress, you're not stalling and you're not performing. You're actually doing the job live in the room. Think about what that does to your nerves. When you do that, you're not auditioning for a job you're afraid you can't do. The interview is the first time you get to do the job. And if you've seen my NIST framework video, SRM will feel familiar. So remember the GM3, govern, map, measure, manage? It's the NIST specific version of the same instinct. SRM is a simple lens that you carry into any question. GM3 is how you go deeper when they want the framework by name. So the one thing I would do to prepare, you don't need to memorize 50 questions. Pick one AI system that you already understand, whether it's a chatbot, whether it's a recommendation engine, an agentic AI system, a hiring tool, a fraud detection tool, whatever feels familiar to you, and run the SRM on it loudly so that you can hear yourself answer those questions. Okay? So don't do it just once. Do it a few times. Okay? What's the system? What are the risks? And how would you manage those risks? That's the repetition. Now, structure will beat brilliance with this. You don't need the perfect answer. What you need is a repeatable way to think out loud, and it gets smoother every time. The recruiters will say the same. The more interviews you have, the better you get at them. I want to be honest with you. This is going to feel uncomfortable. The whole job search process does. Applying when you're not sure, speaking up when 6 other people seem more qualified, sitting in silence and waiting to hear back. Those things are uncomfortable. So I'm not going to pretend that it feels good. But I would reframe what that discomfort means. It's not usually a sign that you're not ready. It's the same discomfort that the job itself asks of you. Because AI governance is the work of being the person in the room who asks those uncomfortable questions. The person who says, wait, what is this system actually doing? And who could it harm? Everyone else may be comfortable not asking. You getting comfortable being the one who does, that's not separate from the job. That is the job. So the discomfort that you feel in the search isn't in your way. It's the practice. And the quiet truth about who gets hired, it's usually not the most credentialed person in the panel. It's the one person who is still running the process even after everyone else has stopped. So don't wait to feel confident before you start. Confidence comes from the reps. Let the showing up lead the way, and the feeling will usually follow. So let's pull this thing together. If you feel behind, don't try to fix everything at once. Stage 1, narrow your list so that you can see what the field is actually asking for. Stage 2 is turn one real experience into a proof story. Stage 3 is run SRM. And remember that listening is the job. So that's the structure. It's simpler than the fear makes it look. If you want a free place to start, my 10-day challenge walks through the core skills. The link is in the description below. Then tell me in the comments, which of these 3 stages feel the hardest for you right now? Is it finding the roles? Is it applying? Or is it interviewing? I will read your comments because it helps me know what to make next. If you found this helpful, please subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.